Hello everyone, I am Dr. Shalini Maksane. Today we are going to discuss fat soluble vitamin D. Vitamin D is also known as sunshine vitamin because sunlight is required for synthesis of vitamin D by human skin cells. D vitamins are a group of sterols. Cholecalciferol is called vitamin D3 and it is mainly present in animal sources like egg yolk, fish liver oil. The precursor of cholecalciferol is 7-dehydroxycholesterol and it can also be synthesized in human skin cells and it can be taken orally also in the form of animal diet. Ergocalciferol is called vitamin D2. Its precursor is ergosterol, which is present in animal source like yeast. It can be taken as orally. It is a synthetic form. The ergocalciferol is produced by irradiation of ergosterol and can be taken orally. So both vitamin D3 and D2 are collectively called as vitamin D. And both vitamin D2 and D3 are biologically active in human body. Vitamin D is actually a hormone. It is not a vitamin. But why? There are few reasons behind it that as the definition of vitamin says that vitamins cannot be synthesized in human body, that is why they are required to be supplied in human diet. But as vitamin D is an exception, it can be synthesized in human body in skin cells and it provides the major source of vitamin D to be used by human body. Dietary intake is required only when there is lack of sunlight or our body is not able to produce vitamin D. Then only dietary intake is required. Another thing is that vitamin D acts like a steroid hormone at cellular level. It enters into the target cell where it binds with cellular nuclear receptors and this receptor vitamin D complex affect expression of various genes at gene level. So this is why these are the reason that vitamin D is actually a hormone. Vitamin D3 cholecalciferol, as we know that it can be synthesized in human skin cells, the dermis and epidermis layer of skin. It is produced in skin cell, it is produced by a precursor 7-dehydroxycholesterol, which is an intermediate of cholesterol synthesis. This 7-dehydroxycholesterol accumulate in skin cells where upon exposure to UV lights of sun, there is photolysis of 7-dehydroxycholesterol. So bond between carbon number 9 and 10 is broken down. This causes formation of secosterol, which is provitamin. Now this secosterol undergoes isomerization to form cholecalciferol, which is also known as vitamin D3. Various factors like latitude, season, aging, sunscreen use, and skin pigmentation influences production of vitamin D3 by the skin. Whenever there is winter season at lower latitude, use of clothes which cover our whole body and cloud cover, there is less sunlight is available to make vitamin D. And the person who is having darker skin, because of melanin there is decreased sunlight is absorbed by the skin. So these are various conditions when vitamin D synthesis decreased. These are winter season, lower latitude, in shade, use of sunscreen, covering of body by clothes, and darker skin. And early morning also there is decreased synthesis of vitamin D. So what is the optimum time to get optimum UV rays for the synthesis of vitamin D? It is the best time is 12 noon or between 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. This is the time when we get optimum UV rays for the synthesis of vitamin D3 by skin cells. As I have already mentioned that in diet, vitamin D can be present in two forms, either in vitamin D2 ergocalciferol form or in the form of vitamin D3 cholecalciferol. Ergocalciferol is a synthetic form which can be present in supplementation, and vitamin D3 can be present in animal source of diet. Both vitamin D2 and D3 are biologically active form and can be present in diet. So, ergocalciferol and cholecalciferol, they are actually similar in structure, except that ergocalciferol have a extra double bond between carbon number 22 and 23, and it have a methyl group on carbon number 24, which cholecalciferol does not have. So they differ only for a double bond and a methyl group at carbon number 24. Except these two things, they are same. Cholecalciferol or ergocalciferol, they are not biologically active. They need to be activated by liver and kidney. So, cholecalciferol, which has been synthesized in the skin or derived from the food, it enters into liver where it is hydroxylated to form 25 hydroxy cholecalciferol, which is also called calcidiol. Then this 25 hydroxy cholecalciferol or calcidiol enters into kidney where an enzyme called 1-alpha hydroxylase is present, which causes hydroxylation at carbon number 1 to produce calcitriol, which is also called 1,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol. So this is how the active form of vitamin D is produced by hydroxylation in liver and kidney. So the active form of vitamin D is calcitriol, also known as 1,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol. Ergocalciferol can also be activated in the same way in liver and kidney to produce 1,25 dihydroxy ergocalciferol. As we have discussed earlier that the active form of vitamin D is calcitriol or 1,25 dihydroxycholecalciferol or 1,25 dihydroxy ergocalciferol. But the storage form, the major storage form of vitamin D is 25 hydroxycholecalciferol or 25 hydroxy ergocalciferol, also known as calcidiol, and it is also the major circulatory form. So, major storage and circulatory form of vitamin D is calcidiol, while the active form is 1,25 dihydroxy cholecalciferol, also known as calcitriol. In plasma, vitamin D is bound to vitamin D binding protein. This protein is also synthesized in liver. All form of vitamin D, calcidiol, calcitriol and cholecalciferol, alkocalciferol are bind to this vitamin D binding protein synthesized in liver present in blood. Less than 5% of D binding protein binding sites are normally occupied by vitamin D. So in plasma, vitamin D can be present in three forms. First, 25 hydroxy vitamin D. It means either 25 hydroxy cholecalciferol or 25 hydroxy ergocalciferol. So next is 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, means it can be 125 dihydroxy cholecalciferol or 125 dihydroxy ergocalciferol. Another one is vitamin D. Vitamin D means it can be either ergocalciferol or cholecalciferol. So the major three types of vitamin D metabolites can be present in plasma attached to vitamin D binding protein. The major circulatory form of vitamin D is 25 hydroxy vitamin D. Its plasma concentration is 10 to 50 nanogram per ml and its half-life is 2 to 3 weeks, means it is more stable form of vitamin D. Another one is 125 dihydroxy vitamin D, and it is present in very less amount, which is the normal range is 15 to 60 picogram per ml. Its half-life is very short. It's around 4 to 6 hours. So it is produced only when body requires the active form of vitamin D. Another form is vitamin D which can be either ergocalciferol or calicalciferol. Its normal plasma concentration is around 0.2 to 20 nanogram per ml, and its half-life is 1 to 2 days. All three forms are bound to vitamin D binding protein in plasma. Now we'll discuss the mechanism of action of vitamin D in target cells. Most of the tissues and organs in human body express vitamin D receptor. So, we have already discussed that in plasma, vitamin D, the active form of vitamin D, calcitriol, is bound to plasma protein D binding protein. When this vitamin D reaches to target cell, here that it get detached with D-binding protein, and this active form of vitamin D calcitriol enters into target cell and then into its nucleus. In nucleus there is one protein, vitamin D receptor protein is present. Here this calcitriol binds with vitamin D receptor protein and make a complex. This complex now attaches to vitamin D response element of DNA and modulates the transcriptional activity of vitamin D responsive genes. It can also make dimer with co-activator repressor proteins. One such protein is retinoic X receptor protein, which is which is bound to vitamin A retinoic acid. So this vitamin A concentration can also affect few functions of vitamin D, because this vitamin D receptor protein makes dimer with retinoic X receptor protein, which is attached to retinoic acid, and this heteromeric dimer attaches to hormone response element of DNA and modulate the transcriptional activity of few genes. So that's why that in deficiency of vitamin A, the vitamin D functions are also affected. So in vitamin A deficiency, bone deformities are observed. This may be the reason, because deficiency of vitamin A affects few activities of vitamin D responsive genes. So this is how vitamin D acts at gene level and acts like a steroid hormone. Now we will discuss what are the functions of vitamin D. The main function of vitamin D is to maintain calcium and phosphate concentration in serum. Optimum concentration of calcium and phosphate in plasma is required for them to perform various intracellular and extracellular functions. As we know that calcium is required for various intracellular functions like muscle contraction, glycogen metabolism. It is also important for bone formation and coagulation cascade. Phosphate is required, intracellular phosphate is required for activity of various enzymes. It is a part of DNA, RNA, NAD, ATP, and in cell it is present in organic form, and extracellular phosphate is required for bone formation. So for optimum function owning of these mechanism, calcium and phosphate are required in optimum concentration in plasma, and their optimum concentration is maintained by vitamin D. So whenever there is deficiency of calcium and phosphate in plasma, this causes activation of calcidiol into calcitriol. As we know that in plasma, vitamin D is present majorly in calcidiol form, which is not biologically active form. So whenever there is deficiency of calcium and phosphate, these triggers activation of calcidiol into calcitriol by kidney. So whenever there is low plasma concentration of phosphate level, this directly causes activation of alpha 1 hydroxylase enzyme present in kidney to convert calcidiol into calcitriol. Whenever there is low plasma calcium level, it does not have direct impact on activation of calcidiol into calcitriol, but whenever there is low plasma calcium level, this causes increase in plasma parathyroid hormone secretion. This parathyroid hormone in turn increases activation of calcidiol into calcitriol. So whenever there is a deficiency of calcium or phosphorus in plasma, this causes activation of calcidiol into calcitriol. Once calcitriol is formed, it maintains adequate calcium and phosphorus level in plasma by using these ways. First, it increases the uptake of calcium and phosphorus in intestine. Next, it increases the absorption of calcium and phosphorus in kidney tubules, and it stimulates bone resorption to maintain calcium and phosphorus level in plasma. Now, how vitamin D increases the absorption of calcium and phosphorus in intestine? Vitamin D promotes transcellular and paracellular absorption of calcium in duodenum. It increases transcellular absorption by increasing the uh, concentration of calcium channel and pumps in intestinal villi cell. It also increases the intracellular production of cell-binding protein in duodenal cell. It also promotes active transport of phosphate in intestinal cell, jejunum and ileum cells. This diagram depicts the transcellular absorption of calcium in intestinal duodenal cell. So here we can see that when active form of vitamin D calcitriol binds with DNA, it increases the production of calcium channels and calcium pumps present on intestinal duodenal cell. So increased concentration of calcium channel increase the absorption of calcium from intestinal lumen to duodenal cell. Once calcium reaches into the cell, there is a protein called cal binding. This cal binding protein is responsible for intracellular transport of calcium. So, this vitamin D increases the production of cal binding protein also. Whenever and there is increased cal binding protein, so they will bind with calcium, and they are responsible for transport of calcium from apical side of cell towards basolateral side. So once the calcium molecule reaches to basolateral side, there are pumps on basolateral side. The pump protein production is also increased by vitamin D, and these pumps are responsible for active transport of calcium from duodenal cell into the blood. So this is how transcellular absorption of calcium is increased by vitamin D. Vitamin D acts on kidneys. It reabsorbs calcium and phosphate ions in distal renal tubules. Vitamin D also inhibits the action of parathyroid hormone. It decreases the secretion of parathyroid hormone from parathyroid gland. Now we will discuss effect of calcitriol on bone. Calcitriol hormone coordinates the remodeling action of osteoclasts and osteoblasts in bone. As we know that bone are made up of two types of cell, osteoblasts and osteoclasts, and extracellular tissue which is composed of collagen, osteocalcin protein and mineral, inorganic mineral which are made up of hydroxyapatite crystal of calcium phosphate. So when there is low concentration of calcitriol in plasma, at low concentration when plasma calcium level is adequate, in that condition calcitriol promotes bone mineralization. It increases the number of osteoblasts in bone when plasma calcitriol concentration is low, which means that calcium level of plasma is optimum. In that condition, calcitriol increases the formation of osteoblast cell. It stimulates osteoblast cells to secrete alkaline phosphatase enzyme. This enzyme converts pyrophosphate into inorganic phosphate. This inorganic phosphate is used for the formation of hydroxyapatite crystals which are deposited on collagen protein. which causes bone mineralization. So this is how at lower plasma calcitriol concentration it increases bone mineralization. At higher concentration, calcitriol increases bone resorption. Whenever there is decreased plasma calcium level or decreased phosphate level, there is increase in calcitriol level. This calcitriol goes into the bones and where it induces monocytic stem cells of bone marrow to become osteoclasts. This is how it increases osteoclastic activity. And this because of this osteoclastic activity there is demineralization of bone and calcium and phosphate ions are released into blood. It also stimulates osteoblasts to secrete cytokines. These cytokines also influence osteoclastic activity. As there is activation of osteoblast cell, there is secretion of alkaline phosphatase enzyme and osteocalcin. So, in that condition, the plasma level of ALP and osteocalcin protein increases in blood. But there is no mineralization because of lack of calcium and phosphate ion. So whenever there is decreased calcium and phosphate level in plasma, there is increased bone resorption, and due to demineralization of bone, calcium and phosphate are released into blood plasma to maintain plasma calcium and phosphate levels. This diagram depicts integrated control of calcium and phosphate metabolism. So whenever there is decreased plasma concentration of calcium, it induces secretion of parathyroid hormone from parathyroid gland. Now parathyroid hormone increases reabsorption of calcium in kidney, but it causes excretion of or decreased reabsorption of phosphate in kidney. It also induces bone resorption and release of calcium and phosphate from bone. The parathyroid hormone also increases activation of calcidiol into calcitriol by activating alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme. Now, once there is increased level of active vitamin D is present in plasma, this vitamin D increases absorption of calcium and phosphate in intestine by increasing the production of calcium channel, calcium pump and cal-binding synthesis in intestinal cells. Now this vitamin D also causes bone resorption and release of calcium and phosphate ions in plasma. Vitamin D also increases the reabsorption of both calcium and phosphate ion in kidney. So this is how vitamin D and parathyroid hormone maintains calcium and phosphate level in plasma. The important thing to note here is that parathyroid hormone increases only reabsorption of calcium. It decreases the reabsorption of phosphate ion in kidney. So whenever there is calcium deficiency in plasma, first parathyroid hormone increases in blood, and then once there is a sufficient amount of vitamin D present in plasma, the role of maintaining calcium level is taken up by vitamin D. So whenever there is sufficient level of vitamin D, the level of parathyroid hormone is decreased by feedback inhibition of parathyroid hormone or its inhibition by vitamin D. Now, how the plasma level of calcitriol are regulated? The plasma level of calcitriol is regulated by regulating the activity of enzyme alpha-1 hydroxylase present in kidney. So this regulation is done by feedback regulation by calcitonin itself, plasma level of calcium and PTH, and plasma level of phosphate. They all these factors regulate the activity of alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme, thus regulate the level of plasma calcitriol. Now first is feedback regulation of calcitriol level. Whenever there is higher level of calcitriol in plasma, This calcitriol inhibits the activity of alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme in kidney. So thus it prevents further activation of calcitriol into calcitriol. But this calcitriol also increases the activity of an enzyme called 24-hydroxylase. This enzyme is also present in kidney. So this causes formation of inactive calcitriol by causing hydroxylation at 24 position. So the calcitriol which will be produced now will be inactive, and this inactive calcitriol will be excreted in kidney. Now, regulation of calcitriol by plasma calcium phosphate and parathyroid hormone. As I have also discussed in earlier slide, that whenever there is decreased level of calcium, it causes secretion of parathyroid hormone. Now, this parathyroid hormone causes activation of calcitriol into calcitriol. This is not calcium which directly activate diol into calcitriol, but calcium activate vitamin D through parathyroid hormone. So this is parathyroid hormone which causes activation of 1-hydroxylase enzyme in kidney and conversion of calcidiol into calcitriol. Once active vitamin D is available in plasma, this causes bone demineralization, renal reabsorption of calcium and phosphate, and calcium absorption in intestine. As I have already told in previous slide, that parathyroid hormone increases excretion of phosphate ion in kidney. So whenever there is parathyroid hormone, high level of parathyroid hormone, it will cause hypophosphatemia. So there is deficiency of phosphate ion in plasma. So this low level of phosphate also causes activation of calcidiol into calcitriol. So this is how calcium, phosphate and parathyroid hormone causes regulation of plasma calcitriol level. Now we will discuss deficiency manifestations of vitamin D. As we have discussed that vitamin D is required to maintain optimum plasma calcium and phosphate level, and plasma calcium and phosphate are required for bone mineralization. So whenever there is vitamin D deficiency, there is defective mineralization of bone in children and in adults. In children, the deficiency manifestation of vitamin D is called rickets, and in adult it is called osteomalacia. So in children, vitamin D deficiency causes rickets. This is a mineralization defect in bone. It is due to vitamin D deficiency or phosphate depletion in kidneys. Decreased vitamin D level causes decreased level of plasma calcium, because there is decreased absorption of calcium in intestine, and there is increased excretion of calcium and phosphate in kidney. So as there is insufficient level of calcium and phosphate present for mineralization of bone, there is low level of plasma calcium and phosphate, and there is increased osteoid, means organic matter of bone, which is called collagen protein and osteocalcin protein, which make organic part of protein. These proteins are secreted by osteoblastic cell. So whenever there is vitamin D deficiency, there is no mineralization of this organic matrix of bone. So the bones become soft and pliable. The weight bearing bone becomes bent, and there is increased level of alkaline phosphatase level in plasma. This increased alkaline phosphatase level in plasma is due to increased osteoblastic activity to produce unmineralized osteoid. The important clinical features of rickets are frontal bossing, means bossing of frontal bones, and bow legs, means the knees remain apart and ankle touch each other. This is called bow leg. There can be knock knee. In that condition, knees touch each other and ankles remain apart. This can also cause rickety rosary, means beading of ribs, and pigeon chest. The chest looks like pigeon's chest. And apart from these, there are other features like Harrison's suckles, dental hypoplasia, etc. There are different types of rickets. First is classical vitamin D deficiency. There is dietary deficiency of vitamin D, or there is defective or less synthesis of vitamin D in skin. There can be various reasons for that. So, in classical vitamin D deficiency, diet, if vitamin D supplementation is provided, the condition can be reversed. Another is hypophosphatemic rickets, which is also called vitamin D resistant rickets. In that condition, there is phosphate depletion in kidney due to defective renal tubular reabsorption, which occurs commonly in Fanconi syndrome, where there is defective reabsorption of bicarbonate, phosphate, glucose, and amino acids. This type of ricket will not respond to dietary supplementation of vitamin D, because that is why it is called vitamin D resistant rickets. Next is renal ricket. In that condition, there is defective activation of calcitriol into calcitriol. It can be due to renal diseases because there is functional loss of functional nephrons. So there is no production. There will be decreased concentration of alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme. It can also occur in condition when there is genetic defect in alpha-1 hydroxylase enzyme. This type of ricket will respond to dietary supplementation. So when dietary supplementation will be given, the condition can be reversed. Another is end organ refractoriness. In that condition, there is defect in calcitriol receptors on target cell. There can be decreased number of receptor, or there can be defective receptors on target cell. So in that condition, the plasma calcitriol level will be high, but there is resistance to that hormone. So this will also not respond to dietary supplementation of vitamin D. Vitamin D deficiency in adult causes osteomalacia. So osteomalacia is demineralization of pre-existing bone. In adult, the normal mineralization and bone formation has already occurred. So in later stages, whenever there is vitamin D deficiency, this will cause demineralization of pre-existing bone, and it will cause bones to become fragile, and there is increased susceptibility to fracture. Clinical features of osteomalacia are osteoporosis and onycholysis. Osteoporosis means the bones become porous and fragile. As there is vitamin D deficiency, because of vitamin D deficiency, there will be decreased level of plasma calcium and phosphorus. To maintain those levels, there will be demineralization of bone. So, the bone will become porous and fragile. Onycholysis is the condition when nail gets separated from the skin underneath. If plasma vitamin D level is more than 30 nanogram per ml, it is called normal. If the values are between 20 to 29 nanogram per ml, it is called insufficient. And if plasma vitamin D level is between 10 to 19 nanogram per ml, that is called deficient. There are various causes of vitamin D deficiency. First, less exposure to sunlight. This can occur in winter season, or if a person is bedridden for long time, and if person covers his or her body with clothes. It can be because of nutritional deficiency of vitamin D. It can occur in various intestinal disease like steatorrhea. There is defective absorption of fat in intestine. It can occur because of obstructive jaundice or pancreatic diseases, where there is defective absorption of vitamin D, or it can occur in various liver and kidney diseases because there is defective activation of vitamin D. Now, recommended dietary allowance for vitamin D are: in children, daily requirement of vitamin D is around 400 international unit per day. In men, the requirement is 200 international unit per day. In pregnant and lactating women, daily requirement of vitamin D is equal to children, that is 400 international unit per day. And in older people with age above 60 years, the requirement is 600 international unit per day. Now, dietary sources of vitamin D. There are very few food sources which contain significant amount of vitamin D naturally. So the good sources of vitamin D are egg yolk, liver, fish liver oil. Milk is a moderate source of vitamin D. Nowadays, various food products are fortified with vitamin D, such as cheese, butter, some cereals, etc. And the person should get enough sunlight to get sufficient amount of vitamin D. Now, hypervitaminosis D. Administration of higher pharmacological doses of vitamin D, doses more than 1 lakh international unit for weeks or months, can cause vitamin D toxicity. So major symptoms of vitamin D toxicity are loss of appetite, nausea, thirst, stupor, and there is in hypervitaminosis D there will be increased concentration of calcium in plasma. So this calcium will get deposited in arteries and in kidney and will cause calcinosis, and it will also cause hypertension and contraction of blood vessels. But here what is important to note is that excessive exposure to sunlight never causes vitamin D toxicity, because the substrate which is present in melanocyte 7-dehydroxycholesterol is limited in amount. Though there is higher sunlight, but the substrate is present in limited amount. That is why excessive exposure to sunlight never causes vitamin D toxicity. Thanks for watching the video.